a really great way to get to grips with the court cards is to lay them out in a grid like this. Because, let's say, for example, the Knight of Swords. If we want to really understand the Knight of Swords, we need to understand the suit of swords and the rank of knight. And it is only when we compare the Knight of Swords with the other knights and with the other swords that we begin to notice the similarities and the differences. Now, obviously, I've squashed these together slightly to fit them onto the camera. Please, if you're doing this, make sure that you can see the entirety of each card, because looking is what really makes sense. And then we can notice immediately that all of the pentacles have a golden background. We can notice that the clouds and the birds and the position of the swords is different in each of the swords. We can notice the difference of the kings in their on their thrones, and you might not appreciate how uncomfortable I think the King of Wands in particular, but the King of Cups to a lesser degree, is, until you see how comfortable the King of Swords and the King of Pentacles are. You might not pay particular attention to the fact that the Queen of Swords, Pentacles, in fact, if you really look, we could argue the Queen of Wands could be looking at us, but none of the queens are really looking at us. These three are looking at their suits. The Queen of Wands is looking out at the distance, and you don't notice these differences if you've only got one queen. With the knights, the trick really is to look at the relationship between the knight and the horse, and then we can see the complete stability of the Knight of Pentacles. You almost wonder whether he's ever going to move. I just kind of I almost imagine, is there someone behind there about to push the horse? The Knight of Swords, the horse looks panicked, overwhelmed and exhausted. I think that the horse represents our body, and the knight represents our psyche, if you like. So very often the Knight of Swords it can be leaning to burnout if you're not careful. The Knight of Cups, I just think the horse looks so dreamy. It's moving, but you can imagine it more like a dressage horse. Careful with this knight. Somebody that looks that good can be dangerous indeed. And of course the Knight of Wands, notice how carefully framed. I'm just in awe of Pamela Colman Smith. Notice how with the Knight of Swords we just can't quite see the front hooves, and the same with the Knight of Wands. Clearly these are the masculine knights. These are the knights that are pushing it to the very edges, whereas these are the more feminine suits, and we can see that they are more balanced cards, if you like. So it is only when we see the knights together that we really notice those little nuances. And whenever you've got a court card, one of the first things to ask yourself is, in this card, is the individual engaged with their suit or not? And you can see the Page of Wands is totally captivated by the wand. In the Page of Cups we have the fish, and it can be useful to track back and find where is the fish. Here we have the fishes on the outfit. Here we have the fish on the throne, and here we have the fish around the neck, whereas the Page of Cups is engaging directly with the fish. The Page of Swords, notice how on both the knight and the page the edge of the sword is we can't see it. These are cards of people who are not fully aware of the consequences of where their thoughts or words or plans will take them. And the Page of Swords is almost unaware of this enormous sword they have. Whereas the Page of Pentacles is oddly in a very similar foot position to the Page of Swords, but really connecting with their pentacle. And so, you know, really spending some time enjoying the similarities and the differences, feeling the you know, the resonances as we look along a rank and up a suit. I think this is a delightful way to get to know your court cards. In my book, one of the things that I do is I break down, I have to find it, for example, I break down with the queens, if you've had an argument with your partner and you turn to each of the queens, how would each of them, you know, be? With the kings, I talk about, let's imagine you have a role becoming available at work, team manager of an advertising team. The kings take charge as they usually do. How would each of them handle this? Obviously, I've included my ideas in my book, but this is a great exercise for you to try for yourself. For the knights, I've got the knights decorate the living room. Which one is you? In case you're wondering, in this story, I was the Knight of Wands. It's an actual memory of something I did. It will be done in a couple of hours flat. I wake up and decide to decorate. I find a few paint tins in the garage and mix them together to make the tone light enough for the lounge. I then spend an hour looking for a paintbrush. I only find one and it's quite small, but it will do. Speed is achieved by painting around larger objects where I can. Dodgy areas are covered by rearranging pictures. 2 hours later, job done, not perfect, but done. Time for a cuppa. I am notorious for painting around furniture and then when I want to rearrange a room, really swearing loudly. Whereas my husband at the time was very much Knight of Pentacles. Preparation is key. I like to start with several tester pots. It's important to try the paint in both the brightest and the darker areas of the room to get a real feel for the colour. I spend a full day preparing, moving the furniture into the centre of the room, covering with dust sheets, washing the walls using masking tape to make sure the edges can be neat. The painting takes a full day too. If it's worth doing, then it's worth doing well. When I'm quite content, I will start to move the furniture back. I like comfort and beauty, but more than anything, I like to take my time in ensuring everything is ready. I would like a new sofa, so I'm researching different brands and have several fabric swatches to get a feel for which is the most suitable for my new lounge. I may take longer, but damn, I do a good job. That might be one of the reasons why our marriage didn't work out. And for the pages, each of the pages take you on a date. So that can be a really fun exercise to try for yourself. Think about, you know, different situations and imagine how each of the suits or each of the ranks of a suit would be in that situation. And it can be really fun. And the other thing to think about is, where do you feel comfortable and where do you feel challenged? Where do you fit and where is your shadow? I'm really comfortable down in the pages. I'm quite comfortable being playful. I like exploring new ideas. I like not having to think about outcome. I'm a great starter. I'm not particularly organised. I'm not very good at following through. I'm really comfortable in the pages. I quite like the nights, to be honest. I'm one of those people that find deadlines exciting. I like a challenge. That's why whenever I write a book or teach tarot, I always start with the court cards, because I know they are the cards that most people struggle with. So I do like a challenge. I get more uncomfortable with the queens. most of my life has been focused on my relationships with other people, and I am less good at putting myself first. I don't really like to be in charge. I'd rather be down here doing something by myself and not having to think about other people. So I'm actually less comfortable in the role of king. I would much rather just think about myself and work it out as I go than have a strategic plan I'm following. So think about yourself. And when it comes to the suits, you know, I'm really comfortable in the wands. I've got lots of fire energy. I like adventure. I like new starts. I'm actually quite comfortable with the suit of swords. I am quite academic, really. And I like researching. I like arguing. I like debating. I'm great when it comes to emotions from other people. I'm less good when it's my own. And I've put a lot of effort into being more comfortable with the suit of pentacles. But see for yourself, when you see the 16, and like I say, if you're doing this for yourself, please find a bigger space than I have done here, so that you can see you know, the entirety of every card, because Pamela Coleman Smith has given us such a gift in her paintings, and one of the very best ways to really read tarot accurately and well is to take the time to look at the pictures. Books are great, and hey, if you haven't got mine, it's there not only on Amazon but on other bookshops as well. Books are great, but they are no excuse for taking the time to really study the images, whether that is with the Rider-Waite deck or a different deck.